Hi, I'm Dr. Ray Middleton, and in this film I'm going to explain what a psychologically informed environment, or P.I.E, is, and show you how easy it is to become a P.I.E champion or P.I.E lead within your service or organisation. I'm also going to show you how to create a P.I.E self-assessment for a service using the Pizzazz self-assessment tool created by Robin Johnson. You can get additional information downloaded for free around this P.I.E self-assessment from pielink.net. Once you've gathered views from your staff on where the service is currently at in terms of P.I.E, you can type up your self-assessment report either into a Word document or onto some software called iAbacus. iAbacus allows larger organisations to reflect on their P.I.E data for several services at once to gain a better, bigger perspective on the whole organisation in terms of P.I.E. But you don't need to use iAbacus, you can just type up your self-assessment for P.I.E into a Word document. The upgraded P.I.E version 2 has 5 categories to assess your service around. These are psychological awareness, training and support, learning and inquiry, the 3 R's, that's the rules, roles and responsiveness, and the 5th P.I.E area is spaces of opportunity. Once you've defined a P.I.E area, ask people to think about how they'd rate the service at the moment on some sort of scale from poor, basic, progressing or advanced. Ask them what evidence they have to support this score, which validates any good work you're doing already, and you get that down. But also say, well, what helps us to improve in this area? And you can highlight and value different points of view about what people think is helpful. Ask people what hinders in this area and what makes it difficult to progress, and that's really important to tap in to value the points of view of all staff members here about what makes it difficult to progress. And finally, ask people to come up with a realistic plan to improve in this area, so you're co-producing a plan. Remember to explain to the staff team what the category means so they know what they're assessing the service on. So next I'm going to define each P.I.E category to check our understanding by opening up a dialogue with Robin Johnson. The next P.I.E area is the 3 R's. Here you want to rate your service on the following 3 areas and then average them out for an overall score. Firstly, think about the rules of the service. Every service has rules to say what should and shouldn't happen. The rules also include such things as opening hours, eligibility criteria, things like that. Discuss and reflect if the rules are too strict and punitive, or do people think they're too vague and relaxed in this service? Or do you think the rules are applied inconsistently by different staff, or differently if service users are liked or disliked? These are all healthy, helpful questions about the rules to reflect on as a service. How far does your availability, such as opening times, reflect the service user's needs? How are breaking of the rules managed? Is there some elastic tolerance or process to resolve rule breaking without excluding someone from your service forever? The next R is for roles available in the service. For staff and volunteers, and particularly for service users, available roles can provide opportunities for empowerment and/or for personal growth, to feel responsible and valued as useful and contributing. These may be quite formal roles or quite informal roles. Consider, are all staff clear about their roles, or is there some confusion about staff roles, which is quite common? Do people with the same job title vary in what they think their job is about? Have a reflect and think about that. What opportunities and roles are there for service users to take an active part in the service? The third R is for responsiveness of the service and the staff. The responsiveness of a service refers to all things that are flexible and not necessarily written down. Do staff reflect before responding to an incident, or is the service more reactive than reflective? How far are you able to treat a crisis as an opportunity to reflect and learn from? Where service users break the rules or otherwise transgress, what opportunities are there for elastic tolerance or restorative approaches? what scope is there for renegotiations of support, or if it's that kind of service where you might get excluded, can it be a temporary exclusion with a clear route back for people to receiving a service?
So, Robin, I'd appreciate your thoughts about this area's 3 Rs. Is that a reasonable summary, or are there things that needed adding?
Yeah. No, it pretty much is. I mean, it shows how difficult stroke pointless it is to try and be too clear about exactly what we mean with each of those words. They all blur into each other there, don't they, to some extent, and indeed things like the eligibility criteria are made that part of spaces of opportunity as to people flow through a service and not just when they're in service, and the opening hours likewise. The roles bit, as you quite rightly have there, it applies both to the staff roles and to the roles of the service users. My very early started in this kind of work as a psychiatric worker was in therapeutic communities, and there they really encourage people to get involved in cooking and cleaning and so on, to get away from the usual passivity of the patient role. And what the early researchers in those areas found was that actually people got an enormous amount out of being able to get involved with stuff and be a person, try out new things. Peer mentoring, for example, I mean, that's a really challenging role, but an incredibly valuable position to take on. Being on any kind of service user committee, these are actually quite empowering. These give people opportunities to give something back, but also to grow into something new. 3 Rs. It's just such a lot. Yeah, I had rules. You clearly had to talk about the rules. The roles I thought was really important. So it's something I wanted to do to tease out. I think a lot of services do develop structures of roles for people. I mean, it could be working in the garden. It could be the person who feeds the cat. There are all kinds of ways in which
we all need roles to belong and to have purpose and meaning in life. There's a really, as all of the themes are, they're good topics I find in practice when I help teams to work through the P.I.E self-assessment. That it's good to think about these things. What are the roles? And then if people haven't got many opportunities for people using the service, at least they can think about then developing maybe roles for people. And the rules, sometimes people haven't looked at the rules for 10 years, so they think, well, we've got this rule, but we can't remember why we've got the rule. So I think they are really, positive feedback for you, Robin, is they're really relevant topics. And I know that they do connect it together, but it's worth teasing out those, rules are different from roles. And then people to think about the responsiveness. It is worthwhile focusing on that and not just blurring everything together, because that helps people think it's a good topic to think about, and the staff do get a lot out of having a bit of time to work that out.
Good. That's what I'm hearing from other places as well. So
right. Yeah, definitely.
I'm always trying to debunk this a little bit, and say.
But they're really well worth it on the front line.
It seems to get to the issue.
It does. It makes it real to people. People get it quite quickly.
It gets the discussion going, and that's the
Gets the discussion going, reflection, learning, getting better.
Once you've defined a P.I.E area, ask people to think about how they'd rate the service at the moment on some sort of scale from poor, basic, progressing or advanced. Ask them what evidence they have to support this score, which validates any good work you're doing already, and you get that down. But also say, well, what helps us to improve in this area? And you can highlight and value different points of view about what people think is helpful. Ask people what hinders in this area and what makes it difficult to progress, and that's really important to tap in to value the points of view of all staff members here about what makes it difficult to progress. And finally, ask people to come up with a realistic plan to improve in this area, so you're co-producing a plan.